All right, guys, we are back with Desmond Cole. Ghost Patrol, the haunted house next door. We get to see what happens. Now it's getting really good. Sometimes I think in stories it starts off a little slow, but I always want to keep reading because usually it takes off at some point and gets really exciting. And I think that's where we're at right now for our book. So I have my little witchy finger. Remember, today, starting at 2 p.m. or even noon, they're already ready to go. You guys are going to be able to have you and one of your grown-ups come to the school, drop off your reading and math worksheets, and then you'll also get to pick up your Halloween work packet, which is full of fun goodies. Next week is going to be such a fun week. I'm so excited. And you also get a couple little treats from me, which include a cool witch finger that you can use for tracking and following along when you're reading. So I am using mine to show you how I use it. We are going to get started here. We left off on chapter 7, the flying table. And remember, he was petrified. He ran back home and then realized that I'm not safe at home either. All right, we are on page 79. Wow, we've already read a lot. Here we go. Remember to follow along. That's really important. Even if you're just going like this as I read and you're just reading in your head, that's okay. Just remember that it's really important to get that extra connection of seeing the words as I read them, okay? Inside the house, everything looked normal. The furniture was where it was supposed to be, and nothing appeared to be moving on its own. I got an itch on my leg. Mom and Dad were hanging up pictures and asked for my help. They know I love hammering nails. It's fun to hammer nails. I agree. After the last picture was hung, Mom said it was time for lunch and asked me to set the table. I walked to the kitchen as slowly as possible and peeked inside. Luckily, there weren't any scary silverware people. As I put out plates, Dad poured his world-famous lemonade, and Mom heated up Mrs. Cole's lasagna. Mom put the dish on the table, and that lasagna looked and smelled delicious. I wanted to dig right in, but I could hear Desmond in my head warning me to stay away from it. Uh-oh. So I let Mom and Dad get some first, and I watched as they ate. They both took little bites at first, and then they started shoveling the food into their mouths like it was the best thing they had ever eaten. First, I heard ooh and yum and ah. Then I heard uh-oh and oh no and ugh. Uh-oh. What do you think? That was when Mom and Dad sprang from the table. Remember when there's that little dash there? That means the word goes on to the next line. Their stomachs were making awful gurgling noises like tiny, angry monsters. Then they ran out of the kitchen like two bolts of lightning and headed in opposite directions toward the two bathrooms. Right away, both bathroom fans went on, but that didn't stop me from hearing way too many noises coming from inside. Oh, gross. Ew, gross, I said to myself. I pushed my plate away and got up from the table. On the counter, there was a bowl of, what else? Grapes. I grabbed a handful and took a bite of one. Well, then it was smart for him to wait on that lasagna, huh? That was when I felt a cold gust of wind behind me. What could it be now? I hoped it was just my mind playing tricks on me again, but it wasn't. What I saw was all too real. The entire kitchen table, dish of lasagna and all, was floating high into the air. I dropped my grapes on the floor and screamed. I would too. Chapter 8. Oh, you guys, we have to keep going. It just left us at a cliffhanger. We're going to keep going. We're on page 89 now. Gotta find out what happens with the floating table. A most haunted lasagna. That's this title's chapter. As the table rose higher and higher, so did my scream. I tried to move, but it took me a few long seconds to make my legs work. Then, just like before, I ran from the room. I would too, kid. I would too. And just like before, I opened the front door. And yes, just like before, Desmond Cole was standing there. Mind reader. This time I didn't slam into him, which was a good thing because he was carrying some weird gadget. It made a whirring noise and it had blinking lights. I was shaking too much to talk, but Desmond had a huge smile on his face. I knew it, he exclaimed. You brought a ghost with you, didn't you? He was so excited he didn't even wait for me to invite him inside. He just pushed past me and ran into my house. What are you talking about? I asked. Me bring a ghost? A ghost? Now we're on page 93. Desmond ran into the den and looked around. Well, if you didn't bring it, then you're one lucky guy. Lucky? I said. Okay, this kid was bonkers. Yeah, Desmond smiled as he waved his machine around. Don't you get it? You are living in a haunted house. Ooh. Now we're on page 94. My heart stopped. A haunted what? Stop asking so many questions, Desmond said. Walk. Remember, there's that little dash. That means you go on the next line. It just means they didn't have room to fit the word on that line. Walking through the den, pointing his gadget at the walls and the sofa and the TV. Don't tell me you've never heard of a haunted house. I've heard of them, I said, but I don't want to live in one. Can you do something about it? Of course, Desmond said. You move to the haunted house next door to the right kid. Desmond's gadget was making louder and louder beeps as he moved closer to the kitchen. I followed behind him, far behind him. Whoa, he exclaimed, stepping into the room. Does your table always fly like that? I shook my head. Not usually. Good, Desmond said, because that would be really weird, but also kind of cool. He didn't look scared at all. In fact, he looked like this was the most fun he'd ever had. Desmond jumped up and grabbed one of the legs of the table and pulled it back down to the floor. We were face to face with the lasagna. To be honest, it still looked really delicious. Okay, page 98, almost to page 100. 100 pages read. Yay! Oh, that's such a good feeling. Okay, here we go. You didn't actually eat that, right? Desmond asked. Not me. I motioned to the bathrooms. My parents did, and Desmond shook his head and gagged a little. Say no more. Then, without warning, the lasagna lifted out of the dish and floated above the table. I ducked behind Desmond and whimpered, "A haunted lasagna? Now I've seen everything." Page 100. Yay! Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. But I hadn't seen everything, because when I looked again, the lasagna wasn't floating by itself. No, a ghost appeared out of thin air, and it was holding the lasagna in its ghostly hands. It sniffed the food with its ghostly nose, and then gobbled the whole thing up with its ghostly mouth. "This is not good," whispered Desmond. "This is not good at all." Suddenly, the ghost turned green, puffed out its ghostly cheeks, and let out a loud, wet, disgusting burp. It was gross. Burp. If you've never smelled a ghost burp, consider yourself lucky. Ew, I moaned. The ghost puffed its ghostly cheeks again, but before it could burp again, Desmond yelled, "Run!" And that was exactly what we did. Yay! Chapter 9, Ghost Skunk. Okay, so we'll save chapter 9 for next time. We read chapters 7 and 8 today, and I just really want you to make just a really quick note in your reading response book. Pause the video, grab your stuff, and I just want you to write down our date. Wait. You guys. It's the 22nd. This is Desmond Cole. And remember, we skipped 5 and 6 doing a little thing, and we just read 7 and 8. And I just want you to make a really quick prediction for the end of the book. What will happen? I predict what? What do you think will happen? Because then when we finish the book, we're going to see if we were right. And your prediction may have changed because we've already made one before about this book. So it could have changed as we're reading and finding more information, which is fun. I like that. That's part of predictions. It changes as we go through a book. So tell me what you think will happen in this book towards the rest of the book. We have 2 chapters left, you guys. Okay, we will finish the book. Next time, I think I'll just have to rush through and finish it because I want to finish the book. Okay, you guys, have fun reading, and I will see you next time to finish the book. Don't forget to write your prediction. Pause this video right now so that you have this on the screen so you can grab your reading response spiral notebook and write this down, okay?